Million Dollar Extreme, or MDE, stands as a peculiar and highly influential force in the landscape of internet comedy. But to truly understand their impact, you have to look back at the early 2000s, a time when the internet was still a wild frontier and comedy was being redefined by a new generation of outsiders. The group was primarily formed by three core members: Sam Hyde, Nick Rochefort and Charls Carroll. They met in the post-college haze, drawn together by a shared love of bizarre humour and a mutual frustration with the sanitised formulaic comedy dominating TV and mainstream media. Their style is, honestly, pretty difficult to pin down, often described as anti-comedy, surreal and aggressively satirical. They drew inspiration from the likes of Tim and Eric, early Adult Swim, and even the anarchic spirit of Jackass, but twisted it into something uniquely their own. It challenges viewers with intentionally awkward pacing, low-fidelity production, and a confrontational tone that, well, blurs the line between performance and reality. Early MDE videos often left audiences wondering, was this a joke or a genuine meltdown? This approach has earned them a deeply dedicated cult following, one that sees them as pioneers who broke free from the polished conventions of mainstream entertainment. Their fans traded clips on obscure forums, dissected every sketch, and even mimicked their style in their own videos. They created a unique comedic language that has since been imitated and absorbed into the wider culture of online content creation. You can see echoes of MDE's style in countless YouTube channels, TikTok sketches, and even mainstream comedy shows today. The story of MDE is not just one of creative output, it is a tale of resilience against immense pressure. In the early days, they faced ridicule from peers and confusion from audiences who didn't quite get it. Over nearly 2 decades, they have faced repeated attempts to de-platform them, including the termination of their popular YouTube channels, often for content that pushed boundaries or defied easy categorization. The removal of their social media presences became almost routine, as platforms struggled to define what was acceptable in a rapidly changing online culture. And then there was the high-profile cancellation of their television show on Adult Swim, a move that sparked heated debates about censorship, free speech, and the limits of comedy. Despite these significant setbacks, the group has managed to maintain its relevance and continue producing work on its own terms. They've adapted, moving to new platforms and finding creative ways to reach their audience. Their journey is a testament to the power of a loyal fan base and the possibilities that emerge when artists refuse to compromise their vision, even in the face of widespread opposition from established media institutions and corporate advertisers. Fans have crowdfunded projects, organized secret shows, and kept the MDE spirit alive in countless ways. The core trio brought a diverse set of skills and personalities to the project, which really fueled their chaotic and unpredictable energy. Sam, Nick and Charles each had their own comedic heroes and influences, from absurdist British humour to American underground zines. Sam Hyde, often seen as the frontman, brought an intense and often confrontational performance style, honed through his education at the Rhode Island School of Design. He was known for pushing boundaries, both artistically and socially, often blurring the line between character and creator. Nick Rochefort provided a sharp writing and editing sensibility, often grounding the group's more bizarre ideas in a structured, albeit strange, narrative. He was the architect behind many of their most memorable sketches, ensuring that even the wildest concepts had a core of logic. Charls Carroll, a childhood friend of Rochefort, contributed a deadpan and understated presence that perfectly counterbalanced Hyde's more explosive character work. His subtle delivery became a signature element of MDE's sketches, often providing the punchline without saying a word. Together, they formed a creative partnership that was as volatile as it was brilliant, producing a body of work that continues to be dissected and debated. Their brainstorming sessions were legendary, equal parts argument, improv, and creative chaos. Understanding Million Dollar Extreme requires looking beyond the controversy that has often surrounded them. While their work has sparked outrage and debate, it has also inspired a new generation of creators to take risks and challenge the status quo. Their story is a compelling case study in modern media, exploring themes of censorship, artistic integrity, and the changing relationship between creators and audiences. MDE's journey is a microcosm of the larger battles playing out across the internet. They navigated the shift from the early, lawless days of YouTube, where almost anything went, to the more corporatized and politically charged environment of today. Their adaptability became a blueprint for other creators facing similar challenges. Their ability to survive and even thrive in this hostile landscape makes their saga more than just a history of a comedy troupe. It is a reflection of the cultural battles that have defined the internet for the past 20 years, making their journey particularly interesting to examine. MDE's legacy is not just in the laughs they provoked, but in the doors they kicked open for everyone who came after. The story of Million Dollar Extreme begins in the mid-2000s, a time when the internet was just starting to reshape the landscape of comedy and creative expression. In 2006, Sam Hyde was a senior at the Rhode Island School of Design, RISD, a place known for its avant-garde spirit and experimental ethos. It was here, surrounded by a culture that encouraged risk-taking and boundary-pushing, that Hyde conceived Million Dollar Extreme, not as a comedy troupe, but as the title of his senior thesis project. Hyde's early work at RISD was a reflection of the school's experimental environment. He created a series of bizarre confrontational performance art pieces and sketches, like Feet Racing and the unsettling Billy Banana, that blurred the line between comedy discomfort and social commentary. These initial projects weren't just about getting laughs. They were about challenging the audience, provoking thought, and sometimes even outrage. Hyde's fascination with pushing social boundaries and subverting expectations was evident from the start, and RISD's culture of creative freedom gave him the space to experiment without fear of censorship. The work was raw, unpolished, and intentionally provocative. This do-it-yourself, almost punk rock approach to comedy and art would become a defining feature of Million Dollar Extreme's ethos for years to come. The academic setting provided a unique foundation, one that suggested there was a deliberate artistic intention behind the chaos. Hyde wasn't just making jokes, he was making statements using the language of art to explore the absurdities of modern life. In 2007, the group began to take its modern shape when Hyde met Nick Rochefort, a fellow RISD student with a sharp wit and a similar appetite for the absurd. The introduction came through Nick's cousin, and the two quickly discovered a shared comedic sensibility. Their humour was shaped by the internet's early meme culture, the irreverence of Adult Swim, and a mutual love for pushing boundaries. Their creative chemistry was immediate and explosive. In a legendary burst of inspiration, they wrote around 300 sketch ideas in a shared Google document over just 4 days, a testament to their relentless drive and the fertile creative environment they inhabited. Despite their creative ambitions, their day-to-day lives were far removed from the world of entertainment. Rochefort ran a landscaping company, and both he and Hyde later worked as car salesmen at a Toyota dealership. They funneled their modest wages into their passion for making strange, compelling videos, living proof of their commitment to their craft. Their first taste of minor internet fame came in 2008 with a sketch titled The Bass Effects, edited by Rochefort. The video's offbeat humour and lo-fi aesthetic resonated with a growing online audience hungry for something different. The video managed to attract approximately 25,000 views, a significant number for the time. This early success gave them the encouragement they needed to keep pushing forward, convinced that their unique brand of comedy had an audience. Motivated by this momentum, they began traveling the country, living a nomadic lifestyle and couch surfing in places like Dallas, Texas. It was there they filmed the memorable DJ Chaos video, drawing inspiration from the people and places they encountered along the way. This period was defined by a do-it-yourself spirit. They filmed with whatever equipment they could afford, using their real-life experiences as fodder for their increasingly strange and experimental comedy. The cultural environment of the late 2000s, marked by the rise of YouTube, the spread of viral videos and a hunger for authenticity, gave them both a platform and an audience. The trio was officially completed in 2010, when Rochefort introduced Hyde to his childhood friend, Charls Carroll. Carroll brought his own comedic sensibility, shaped by years of collaboration with Erick Hayden on their project Black Country and Joy. Carroll and Hayden's work shared a similar offbeat tone with Hyde and Rochefort's, making the collaboration a natural fit. Their combined talents and shared vision set the stage for what would become MDE's signature style. The three officially joined forces after a trip to Los Angeles to collaborate with actor Will Sasso, a formative experience that exposed them to new creative possibilities and the wider world of entertainment. Their first major project as a unified group was a 45-minute short film titled Dr. Manslave, released in November 2010. The film was a culmination of their years of experimentation, collaboration, and relentless creativity. Dr. Manslave solidified their partnership and marked the beginning of their most prolific and influential period as a creative team. The humble beginnings, the formative years at RISD, and the cultural environment of the late 2000s all combined to shape Million Dollar Extreme into a group that would leave a lasting mark on the world of alternative comedy. Between 2011 and 2012, Million Dollar Extreme's profile began to grow significantly, but their ascent was anything but conventional. The group, led by Sam Hyde, Nick Rochefort and Charls Carroll, thrived on the fringes of internet culture, crafting sketches that were equal parts abrasive, surreal and darkly funny. Their early work was a patchwork of lo-fi absurdity, often filmed in cramped apartments or borrowed spaces, with a DIY spirit that resonated with a generation raised on YouTube and message boards. One sketch in particular, simply titled College, became a viral sensation. It perfectly satirized the vapid and self-congratulatory nature of university promotional videos, lampooning the empty platitudes and forced diversity that had become standard fare. The group's willingness to push boundaries, sometimes to the point of discomfort, set them apart from other online comedians. The deadpan delivery and subtle absurdity of College struck a chord with a wider audience, quickly spreading across forums and social media. The video was even picked up and featured by the popular media outlet Gawker, which brought MDE's unique brand of comedy to an even broader, more mainstream audience. This newfound attention did not go unnoticed by industry executives. Suddenly the group found themselves the subject of both fascination and confusion among media professionals who struggled to categorize their work. Soon after, the group received their first email from Adult Swim, the late-night programming block on Cartoon Network, known for its experimental and unconventional content. For MDE, this was a validation of their outsider approach, a sign that their strange vision might have a place in the mainstream. The excitement was palpable. For years, MDE had operated on the margins, often dismissed as too weird or too abrasive for television. Now they were being courted by the very network that had launched cult favourites like Tim and Erick and Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Their initial pitch to the network was for a public access-style show called Tissue Box, a concept that leaned into their love for lo-fi aesthetics and anti-comedy. The show would parody the awkwardness and unpredictability of local access TV with bizarre guests and surreal sketches. However, the timing was complicated. Adult Swim was already in the process of developing the Eric Andre show, which shared a similar deconstructive and chaotic format. The network was hesitant to greenlight two shows that might compete for the same audience. Undeterred, the group decided to take matters into their own hands. They packed up their gear and embarked on a 50-hour cross-country drive to Los Angeles, determined to pitch their show in person. The journey itself became a misadventure, filled with sleep deprivation, fast food, and the kind of inside jokes that only come from being trapped in a car for days. When they finally arrived, they discovered that their network contact had been fired the weekend they got there. The office was empty, and their dreams of a big break seemed to evaporate overnight. But MDE's story was never about giving up. Rochefort, ever resourceful, managed to secure a new meeting through an unlikely connection. He had been playing the mobile game Words with friends with Keith Crawford, the president of Adult Swim. Their casual banter over the game turned into a real opportunity. While that meeting did not immediately lead to a greenlit series, it kept the door open. The network saw potential in MDE's raw energy and willingness to experiment. Adult Swim provided MDE with a small budget of $5,000 to produce more sketches, leading them to collaborate with Andrew Ruse and his popular Thanks Computer YouTube channel. This partnership was a turning point, allowing them to experiment with higher production values while maintaining their signature style. With Ruse's help, they created videos like The Surreal Moms and the darkly comedic Murder Charles. These sketches showcased their ability to blend unsettling humour with professional polish, proving they could deliver on a bigger stage. These projects demonstrated that MDE could work with a modest budget and still produce content that was both distinctively theirs and visually impressive. Their relentless work ethic and creative risk-taking began to win over skeptics at the network. It was a crucial step in proving their viability to the network and building a more formal relationship. The group's willingness to adapt without compromising their vision set them apart from countless other hopefuls. In 2013, Sam Hyde orchestrated one of his most infamous public stunts, further cementing MDE's reputation for fearless satire. He successfully tricked Drexel University into allowing him to deliver a TEDx talk, which he titled 2070 Paradigm Shift. The performance was a masterclass in trolling. Hyde posed as a war photographer and documentarian, delivering a rambling, nonsensical and deeply satirical speech that lampooned the self-important and pseudo-intellectual tone of many TED Talks. The video of the performance went viral, generating widespread media coverage and further establishing Hyde as a masterful provocateur. The stunt was dissected on forums, news sites and social media, with some hailing it as genius and others left utterly baffled. The viral success of the TEDx stunt, combined with their growing portfolio of sketches, kept MDEE firmly on Adult Swim's radar. They had proven themselves not just as comedians, but as a unique and daring creative force willing to challenge the boundaries of taste and convention. As their notoriety grew, so did their ambitions. The journey to Adult Swim was marked by setbacks, improvisation, and relentless creativity, a testament to the group's resilience and the power of outsider art to break through, even in the most unlikely places. After years of producing content independently and building a dedicated following, $1 Million Extreme finally received the news they had been working towards. Their journey had been marked by relentless experimentation, late-night brainstorming sessions, and a DIY spirit that set them apart from mainstream comedy. In May 2015, Adult Swim officially greenlit their television series, granting them a 6-episode run. The announcement was met with both excitement and disbelief among the group, who had long operated on the fringes of internet comedy. The show was given the ambitious and ironic title $1 Million Extreme Presence World Peace. The name itself was a tongue-in-cheek nod to the group's subversive humour and their outsider status. This marked a major turning point for the group, representing a rare opportunity to bring their unfiltered and challenging comedic vision to a mainstream television audience. The transition from internet sketches to a full-scale TV production was both exhilarating and daunting. The network provided them with a more substantial budget, allowing them to expand the scope of their ideas and execute them on a larger scale than ever before. Suddenly, concepts that once seemed impossible, elaborate sets, surreal costumes, and ambitious stunts were within reach. However, the production process was far from smooth and was reportedly filled with tension and conflict. Creative disagreements flared up, and the pressure to deliver something groundbreaking weighed heavily on everyone involved. From the beginning, the group felt a sense of hostility from some of the network staff and production crew, who were allegedly wary of their provocative style and online reputation. This tension sometimes spilled over into the day-to-day work environment, making collaboration difficult. Questions about their political leanings were raised, with some crew members openly asking if they were Nazis, creating a difficult and adversarial work environment. The group often found themselves defending their intentions and creative choices, adding another layer of stress to an already demanding project. MDE also felt that they lacked creative control over crucial aspects of the final product, including the editing, sound design, and on-screen graphics, which they believed diluted their intended artistic vision and softened the show's abrasive edge. Many of their more experimental ideas were toned down or cut entirely, leading to frustration behind the scenes. Despite the internal struggles, World Peace premiered on August 5, 2016, to impressive viewership numbers. The anticipation was palpable, both within the group and among their loyal online fan base. The first episode drew over 1 million live viewers, making it the highest-rated show on cable television in its time slot. The internet buzzed with memes, hot takes, and heated debates about the show's content and meaning. Its ratings were comparable to those of other popular Adult Swim shows like The Eric Andre Show, proving that there was a significant audience for MDE's brand of comedy. The show quickly became a touchstone for internet humour, inspiring countless discussions and parodies online. The show itself was a dizzying collage of sketches, surreal interludes, and confrontational monologues, all tied together in a format that resembled a post-apocalyptic variety show. The creative process was chaotic, with ideas often improvised or rewritten on the fly, lending the show its unpredictable energy. It was confusing, alienating, and for its fans, brilliantly funny. The show's polarizing style became a badge of honor for its supporters, while its detractors only fueled its cult status. The series was a culmination of everything MDE had been working on for nearly a decade. Their evolution from internet pranksters to television creators was a testament to the changing landscape of comedy in the digital age. It featured a wide cast of collaborators, including Erick Hayden, Jet Neptune, and Alex Schulz, who helped bring its strange world to life. The camaraderie and creative friction among the team were evident both on and off camera. The 6 episodes were packed with memorable and bizarre segments, from satirical commercials for nonsensical products to unsettling character pieces that pushed the boundaries of comfort. Many sketches were inspired by internet culture, blurring the line between online absurdity and television comedy. For a brief moment, it seemed that Million Dollar Extreme had successfully breached the walls of mainstream television, delivering a show that was uncompromisingly true to their unique and challenging style, all while achieving commercial success. Its impact on internet comedy was immediate. World peace became a reference point for a new wave of surreal, boundary-pushing humour that would ripple across the web for years to come. The initial success of the show was, in many ways, a double-edged sword. While it quickly attracted a passionate fan base and generated buzz for its bold, unconventional humour, it also drew the attention of critics and detractors who saw its provocative style as a threat. Almost immediately, the show became the focal point of a coordinated cancellation campaign, with critics zeroing in on its most controversial sketches and themes. The campaign was spearheaded by several prominent figures in both media and comedy who saw the show as crossing a line that should not be crossed. Heated debates erupted in writers' rooms, comedy clubs and online forums as the industry and the public at large grappled with the boundaries of satire and the responsibilities of creators. Joe Bernstein, a journalist for BuzzFeed, published a series of articles that framed the group as alt-right provocateurs, connecting their work to a toxic online subculture and amplifying concerns about the show's intent. These articles quickly spread across social media, fueling outrage and prompting further investigation by other outlets. Comedian Brett Gelman, a respected figure in the alternative comedy scene, made headlines when he publicly announced his departure from Adult Swim, directly citing the network's decision to air the show as a primary reason. His statement resonated with many in the comedy community, who began to question the network's commitment to inclusivity and social responsibility. Tim Heidecker, of the influential comedy duo Tim and Eric, also voiced his opposition. He reportedly encouraged his fans to contact the show's advertisers, urging them to withdraw their support and putting additional pressure on the network. This grassroots campaign quickly gained traction, with social media users organizing boycotts and flooding advertisers with complaints. At the heart of the controversy were allegations that the show and its creators promoted hateful ideologies. Critics argued that the show's edgy humor crossed into dangerous territory, normalizing or even endorsing extremist views. Supporters, meanwhile, insisted that the show was a work of satire, designed to provoke thought and challenge taboos, not to promote hate. The accusations escalated when critics claimed that the group had hidden coded white supremacist symbols, such as swastikas, within the show's visuals. These claims were widely circulated online, further inflaming the debate. For many, the controversy became a litmus test for the limits of free expression in comedy and the responsibilities of networks to their audiences. The members of MDE consistently and vehemently denied these accusations, arguing that their work was satirical and that any perceived symbols were either coincidental or misinterpreted. They took to interviews and social media to defend themselves, but their statements often did little to quell the growing outrage. The mounting controversy placed Adult Swim in an increasingly difficult position. Network executives found themselves caught between their reputation for edgy, boundary-pushing content and the mounting pressure from media outlets, other creators, and advertisers who found the show indefensible. Internal discussions grew tense as the network weighed the risks of standing by the show against the potential fallout from continued association. Despite the show's strong ratings and a promise from network executive Mike Lazo that MDE would get more seasons, the external pressure became overwhelming. Advertisers began to pull out, and the network's leadership faced mounting calls for accountability from both inside and outside the company. In December 2016, just a few months after its premiere, Adult Swim officially announced that the show would not be renewed for a second season. The decision was met with a mix of relief and outrage, as supporters and detractors alike took to social media to voice their opinions. For the group and their fans, the news was a devastating blow. Many felt that a unique and daring voice in comedy had been silenced by a combination of public pressure and corporate caution. For Nick Rochefort, the timing was particularly cruel. He received the call informing him of the cancellation on the same day that his wife suffered a miscarriage, compounding a professional disappointment with a deep personal tragedy. The cancellation quickly became a flashpoint in the ongoing culture wars, with both sides using it as evidence for their broader arguments about censorship-free speech and the influence of online outrage campaigns. Online petitions, heated debates and think pieces proliferated as the show's fate was dissected and analysed from every angle. The saga demonstrated that even a successful and highly rated show could be removed from the air if it became sufficiently controversial, sending a chilling message to other creators about the risks of pushing boundaries. For MDE, the cancellation was not just the end of their television show. It marked the beginning of a much broader effort to erase their presence from the internet. Videos were taken down, social media accounts were suspended, and their work was systematically scrubbed from mainstream platforms. The controversy followed them, leading to the eventual termination of their other platforms and forcing them into a period of creative and professional exile, far from the mainstream spotlight they had briefly occupied. The legacy of the show's cancellation continues to spark debate, serving as a cautionary tale about the volatile intersection of art, politics, and public opinion in the digital age. The cancellation of their show was only the beginning of what the group's followers refer to as the dark years, a period lasting roughly from 2017 to 2020. For the members of Million Dollar Extreme, the fallout was deeply personal and far-reaching, touching every aspect of their creative and private lives. The consequences extended far beyond Adult Swim, casting a long shadow over their careers and friendships. In the wake of the controversy, their primary YouTube channel, which had amassed around 250,000 subscribers, was terminated overnight. Years of sketches, fan interactions and creative output vanished in an instant, leaving the group and their fans stunned. The popular MDE subreddit, a central hub for their community, was banned, and their various social media accounts were systematically suspended. For many fans, these online spaces had been more than just forums. They were places to connect, share inside jokes, and feel part of something bigger. This widespread deplatforming effectively cut them off from the audience they had spent a decade building. For Sam, Charles and Nick, it was like being exiled from their own creation, forced to watch from the sidelines as their work was erased and their community scattered. Faced with these immense challenges, the core trio disbanded and went their separate ways. The decision was not made lightly. Years of collaboration and friendship were suddenly put on hold as each member tried to navigate the professional and personal fallout. Sam Hyde, always the driving creative force, retreated behind a paywall, creating his own subscription-based website, mde.tv. For Sam, this was both a lifeline and a prison. He could still reach his most dedicated supporters, but the days of viral sketches and mainstream attention were over. There he continued to produce solo content for his most loyal fans, launching projects like the Interactive Show and the Surreal web series. Sam poured himself into these new ventures, often working late into the night, driven by a mix of defiance and isolation. He spoke candidly in live streams about the pain of losing his platform, the betrayal he felt from former colleagues, and the uncertainty of his future. Yet, despite the setbacks, Sam's creativity never waned. If anything, the adversity seemed to fuel his determination to keep going, no matter how small the audience. This move allowed him to maintain a degree of creative freedom and generate income without relying on mainstream platforms, but it also isolated him from a wider audience and solidified his status as an underground artist. Sam often described this period as both liberating and lonely, a time of total control, but also total responsibility. Charls Carroll, meanwhile, stepped away from comedy and public life almost entirely. The stress of the controversy and the relentless online harassment took a heavy toll on his mental health. He returned to his previous career in construction, working alongside fellow MDE collaborator Erick Hayden. For Charls, the transition was jarring. One day he was recognised on the street for his comedy, the next he was just another worker on a job site. This was a stark retreat from the brief taste of television fame he had experienced. Charls later admitted in interviews that he struggled with feelings of loss and regret, often wondering if he'd ever return to the creative world. For a time it seemed as though he might leave creative pursuits behind for good. Friends recall how Charls would avoid talking about comedy altogether, focusing instead on the day-to-day grind of manual labour. Eventually, he began to re-engage with his audience by streaming on the platform Twitch, where he played video games and interacted with fans in a more casual and low-key setting. The streams became a kind of therapy for Charls, a way to reconnect with the community without the pressure of performing. This allowed him to maintain a connection with the community without the pressure and scrutiny that came with producing large-scale comedy projects. Fans noticed a softer, more introspective side of Charls, who often spoke about his struggles and hopes for the future. Rochefort also went through a period of significant difficulty. The abrupt end of MDE left him feeling adrift, and he struggled to find a new sense of purpose. He battled depression following the cancellation and the personal tragedies he had endured, including the loss of close family members. Nick later described this time as one of the darkest in his life, marked by sleepless nights and a sense of overwhelming uncertainty. In an attempt to find a new path, he opened an antique shop, hoping the change of pace would bring some peace. But the venture proved to be a struggle. Nick found himself isolated, the shop empty more often than not, and the business ultimately failed. Like the other members, he was forced to reinvent himself in the wake of the group's collapse. Nick began to focus on writing and behind-the-scenes work, slowly rebuilding his confidence and sense of identity. This period of separation and individual struggle defined the wilderness years. Each member was forced to reckon with the consequences of their controversial art, the loss of their shared dream, and the challenge of finding a new way forward, alone, but forever shaped by what they had built together. The road to a $1 Million Extreme reunion was anything but straightforward. After years of working on separate projects, each member faced their own set of challenges, creative, personal and professional, that made the idea of coming back together seem distant, if not impossible. In late 2020, Sam Hyde and Rochefort took the first tentative steps toward rebuilding their partnership by launching a new podcast. The show, which quickly became a cult favourite, was more than just a creative outlet. It was a test of whether their chemistry and vision could still resonate after years apart. Each episode saw them dive into a wide range of topics, from current events to deeply personal stories, all filtered through their signature blend of cynicism and humour. The podcast became a space for them to reconnect, rediscover their dynamic, and gauge the appetite of their audience for a true reunion. The response from fans was immediate and passionate. Longtime supporters flooded comment sections and social media with messages of excitement, nostalgia and hope for a full-scale comeback. For many, the podcast was a sign that the spirit of $1 Million Extreme was alive and well. But the path forward was not without obstacles. The group's controversial reputation meant that mainstream platforms and sponsors were hesitant, and the shadow of their past cancellation loomed large. Still, a major catalyst for their resurgence arrived in 2021 when YouTuber Idubbers reached out to Sam Hyde for a documentary project. Idubbers' documentary was intended to explore Hyde's career and controversies, but Hyde saw an opportunity to flip the script. While participating in the documentary, Hyde orchestrated an elaborate hoax, secretly filming his own behind-the-scenes footage and crafting a counter-narrative. Hyde released his version first, reframing the story and exposing what he saw as the flaws and biases in Idubbs' approach. The move was widely praised by fans and critics alike, who saw it as a masterstroke of media manipulation. The viral success of Hyde's documentary brought a massive new wave of attention, reigniting interest in his work and proving that the group's influence was far from over. Riding this momentum, Hyde became increasingly active in the influencer boxing scene in 2022, a new frontier for internet personalities. He trained fellow YouTuber Brandon Buckingham for a high-profile fight, then stepped into the ring himself on the first Misfits boxing card, a milestone that showcased his versatility and willingness to take risks. After his victory, Hyde delivered an aggressive and now iconic call-out of political streamer Hassan Piker, creating a viral moment that further boosted his profile and energized his fan base. Building on this renewed energy, Hyde and collaborator Jet Neptune launched a highly successful live streaming arc, drawing in thousands of viewers and cementing their place in the new media landscape. Meanwhile, Nick Rochefort found his own niche with the Scuffed Realtor series, exploring abandoned properties and connecting with fans in a unique personal way. These individual successes were crucial milestones, laying both the financial and creative groundwork for a larger reunion. Each member was proving they could thrive independently, but the desire to recapture their collective magic was growing stronger. The final and perhaps most difficult challenge was convincing Charls Carroll to return. Having settled into a quieter, more peaceful life, Charles was hesitant to re-enter the spotlight and the controversies that came with it. For months, he weighed the risks and rewards, torn between loyalty to his friends and a desire for stability. Ultimately, the promise of a new project, one that was fully funded, free from network interference, and built on their own terms, proved too enticing to resist. With encouragement from his friends and the assurance of complete creative control, Charles agreed to rejoin, marking a major milestone in the group's journey. The trio was finally back together, ready to embark on the next chapter of $1 Million Extreme. Their reunion was not just a return, but a testament to resilience, creative evolution, and the unwavering support of a dedicated fan base that had never given up hope. The funding for a second season of their show came from a completely unexpected and almost unbelievable source. This was not a calculated business move or a network's attempt to recapture lost magic. It was a raw, organic spark ignited by the passion of a single fan. A fan named Robert, who worked as an angel investor, had a life-altering experience when he was run over by an 18-wheeler truck. The accident left him with a new perspective on life and a desire to make a real impact. During his recovery, he decided he wanted to use his money to support projects he truly believed in, projects that weren't watered down by corporate interests or filtered through layers of bureaucracy. Having been a long-time admirer of MDE's work, he reached out to Nick Rochefort through the celebrity video message platform Cameo. This direct, almost guerrilla approach set the tone for everything that followed. After hearing the group's ideas for a new season, Robert agreed to provide a substantial budget of around $1 million to make it a reality. This was not just funding, it was a vote of confidence in their unfiltered vision. To avoid any potential legal conflicts with Adult Swim over the rights to the name, the new series was titled. Production took place over 5 months in Rhode Island, and the atmosphere was a world away from the tense and restrictive environment they had experienced with the network. There were no executives hovering, no censors, no one to dilute their ideas. This time, the group had full creative control. Every sketch, every joke, every visual was exactly as they intended. Raw, unfiltered, and true to their original spirit. Working with directors Alex Schulz and Alex Lucarini, they were able to oversee every aspect of the show, from the writing and filming to the final edit. There was no outside interference, just pure collaboration and creative energy. This freedom allowed them to create a season that was a pure, undiluted expression of their original vision. The result was a show that felt more authentic, more daring, and more personal than anything they had done before. The reunion of the full trio, including the initially reluctant Charls Carroll, brought back the unique chemistry that had defined their best work. Their dynamic was unrestrained, their humour sharper, and their camaraderie obvious on and off screen. The new season felt like a direct continuation of, but with a renewed energy and confidence. The sketches were bolder, the satire more biting, and the absurdity dialed up to 11. The sketches were just as bizarre, the satire was just as sharp, and the overall tone was even more confrontational and unapologetic than before. There was no attempt to soften the edges or appeal to a broader audience. This was MDE at their most authentic. It was a statement to both their fans and their detractors that they had not been broken by the cancellation and were capable of producing their best work entirely on their own terms, outside the established industry system. Their return was not just a comeback, it was a declaration of independence. In 2024, all 6 episodes were released exclusively on the MDE.TV website. This direct-to-fan approach meant there were no middlemen, no compromises, and no censorship. To celebrate the launch, the group held premiere events in cities like Austin, Texas, where they were met with sold-out crowds and an overwhelmingly enthusiastic reception from their fans. The energy at these events was electric, a testament to the loyalty and passion of their audience. The successful production and release was a powerful vindication for the group. It was proof that their unfiltered approach resonated deeply with their core audience. It proved that a dedicated community, combined with an unconventional funding model, could empower artists to bypass traditional gatekeepers and create ambitious projects without compromising their integrity. The unfiltered nature of their return inspired other creators to pursue their own visions without fear. It was a triumphant comeback that solidified their legacy as resilient pioneers of independent media. Their unfiltered return wasn't just a victory for MDE, it was a rallying cry for creative freedom everywhere. Today, the members of $1 Million Extreme continue to build upon the momentum of their resurgence with a variety of independent projects. Their journey is not just a story of personal reinvention, but a testament to the power of creative persistence in the face of adversity. Sam Hyde, alongside his creative partner Jet Neptune, found massive success with the creation of a 24/7 reality live stream show. This innovative project has redefined the boundaries of reality entertainment, blending internet culture with the unpredictability of live performance. The show places a group of contestants in a house for 6 weeks to compete for a cash prize, with their every move broadcast to a highly engaged online audience. It's a format that not only entertains, but also invites viewers to become part of the unfolding narrative in real time. The show became a viral phenomenon, though it has faced its own set of challenges, including zoning issues that have temporarily halted production. These obstacles, however, have only added to the mystique and notoriety surrounding Hyde's projects. Hyde also plans to develop a video game based on his long-running Joyrod universe and has already written a third season of his cult favourite series, demonstrating his commitment to expanding his creative footprint across multiple mediums. The other members have also carved out their own successful niches, each contributing to the group's legacy in unique ways. Nick Rochefort continues to produce his popular Scuffed Realtor live streams, where he explores and documents dilapidated and interesting properties, blending humour, social commentary and urban exploration. He also runs his own online business, Shamanics, which sells antiques, home goods and other curated items that reflect his unique aesthetic, further illustrating the entrepreneurial spirit that defines the group. Meanwhile, Charls Carroll and Erick Hayden have revived their creative partnership with their podcast, reconnecting with fans and continuing to push the boundaries of their comedic style. Hosted on a new YouTube channel, the podcast allows them to continue engaging with their audience in a relaxed and conversational format, carrying on the spirit of their earlier comedy projects and adapting to the evolving landscape of digital media. The story of Million Dollar Extreme is remarkable for its sheer tenacity and its impact on the broader culture of online content creation. They began as a small group of friends making strange videos and rose to the heights of a nationally broadcast television show, only to be cast out and deplatformed in a very public way. Yet their influence only grew in the underground and online spaces. Instead of fading into obscurity, they weathered the storm, rebuilt their careers from the ground up, and returned stronger and more independent than ever before. Their resilience has become a blueprint for creators seeking autonomy in a rapidly changing media environment. Their journey serves as an inspiration for other creators who feel alienated by the mainstream industry, proving that it is possible to build a sustainable career by catering directly to a dedicated and supportive fan base. In many ways, they have helped pioneer the direct-to-audience model that is now reshaping the entertainment landscape. What makes their story so special is not just the controversy or the comedy, but their unwavering refusal to give up. Their willingness to experiment, to fail publicly and to keep moving forward has set them apart as true originals. They represent a new model of artistic creation in the digital age, one that prioritizes creative freedom and a direct relationship with the audience over corporate approval and mass appeal. This approach has empowered a new generation of creators to take risks and find their own voices. Their influence can be seen across the internet in the countless creators who have adopted elements of their anti-comedy style and their confrontational approach to content. MDE's legacy is woven into the fabric of online humour, meme culture, and the broader discourse around free expression in art. Whether one loves or loathes their work, it is impossible to deny that Million Dollar Extreme has left an indelible mark on internet culture, and they show no signs of stopping. As the digital landscape continues to evolve, their willingness to adapt and push boundaries suggests that their most influential work may still be ahead of them. The enduring legacy of Sam Hyde and MDE is not just in the content they've created, but in the doors they've opened for others, proving that with vision, resilience and a loyal audience, creators can shape culture from the margins and redefine what's possible in the world of entertainment. In the aftermath of Million Dollar Extreme, Sam Hyde emerged as a singular force in internet culture, unrestrained, unpredictable and endlessly creative. No longer tethered to the group, Hyde leaned fully into his eccentric persona, embracing a blend of performance art, satire and boundary-pushing social commentary that would come to define his solo career. Hyde's signature style, equal parts absurdist humour, aggressive parody and deep internet irony, found fertile ground in a loyal online audience. His infamous Hyde Wars series became a proving ground for unconventional sketches, surreal rants and elaborate pranks, all delivered with a blend of bombast and self-awareness. These videos blurred the line between reality and performance, leaving viewers guessing where the character ended and the real Sam began. Diving deeper into the world of live streaming, Hyde's presence on platforms like Gumroad and YouTube only grew. He offered behind-the-scenes glimpses, off-the-cuff monologues and unpredictable interactions with fans. His ability to improvise, provoke and entertain in real time became a hallmark, cementing his status as a cult icon of internet anti-comedy. Outside of video, Hyde explored new creative frontiers. He released experimental music projects under various aliases, each dripping with irony and lo-fi aesthetics. His visual art, ranging from digital collages to bizarre illustrations, circulated in niche online communities, further building his mystique. Hyde also became known for his viral stunts and public appearances, often walking a fine line between spectacle and controversy. His speeches, whether satirical or sincere, highlighted his knack for social critique disguised as performance. Through it all, he cultivated a persona that was at once enigmatic and confrontational, drawing both fervent supporters and outspoken critics. Despite, or perhaps because of, his polarizing reputation, Sam Hyde's solo ventures have consistently pushed the boundaries of what's possible for independent creators. He's become a living case study in the power of self-mythologizing, leveraging internet culture's appetite for the outrageous and the unpredictable. As the digital landscape continues to fragment and evolve, Sam Hyde stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of the outsider artist. His journey post-MDE is not just a continuation of his creative vision, it's a bold expansion marked by a fearless commitment to authenticity, experimentation, and the art of provocation. While Sam Hyde blazed his own unpredictable trail, the legacy of Million Dollar Extreme rippled far beyond its original fan base. The group's irreverent, boundary-defying style didn't just entertain, it helped shape the DNA of internet comedy for a new generation. Across forums, social platforms and meme communities, echoes of MDE's absurdist humour and satirical bite became unmistakable. Their sketches, catchphrases and offbeat characters were endlessly remixed, spawning inside jokes and references that persist in digital culture to this day. MDE's bold approach to parody and performance art inspired a wave of creators to push past traditional boundaries. Channels and collectives emerged, borrowing their unapologetic tone and DIY aesthetic, while also experimenting with format and content. The group's willingness to court controversy, blur the line between sincerity and irony, and lampoon internet subcultures became a blueprint for the next wave of alternative comedians and meme makers. Even beyond comedy, MDE's influence can be seen in the way creators cultivate personas, walking the tightrope between character and authenticity. Their legacy is visible in the viral pranks, surreal edits, and meta-commentary that now define much of internet humour. For every meme that twists reality or every sketch that subverts expectations, there's a bit of MDE's spirit humming beneath the surface. As the internet continues to evolve, the fingerprints of Million Dollar Extreme remain clear. Their contribution wasn't just a fleeting moment of shock or laughter. It was a seismic shift in how comedy is created, shared and remixed online. In the wild, ever-changing world of digital culture, MDE's impact endures, fueling creativity at the fringes and inspiring a new generation to keep pushing the envelope. But the story of Sam Hyde, and by extension Million Dollar Extreme, doesn't end with internet influence or cult status. Outside of world peace, Sam Hyde became a lightning rod for controversy, drawing scrutiny from media outlets and fueling heated debates across the digital landscape. After the show's cancellation, Sam's name began to surface in unexpected and often troubling contexts. His image and persona were repeatedly co-opted in online hoaxes, most infamously as the so-called perennial suspect in the wake of major news events. Internet trolls circulated manipulated headlines and doctored images, falsely linking Hyde to tragedies and crimes, turning his face into a bizarre meme that blurred the line between satire and misinformation. Mainstream media coverage of Sam Hyde became increasingly polarized. Some outlets painted him as a provocateur whose edgy comedy crossed the line into dangerous territory, while others saw him as a misunderstood artist, unfairly maligned by critics who missed the nuance in his work. This split in perception only amplified the mystique and the controversy surrounding his name. Hyde's own public persona didn't shy away from the chaos. Through podcasts, interviews and social media, he often played into the absurdity of his infamy, refusing to offer easy explanations or apologies. This ambiguity fueled speculation. Was he in on the joke, or was he orchestrating it all along? For fans, Sam Hyde became an icon of resistance against mainstream narratives, a comedian unafraid to offend or disrupt. For detractors, he embodied the dangers of unchecked irony and internet culture gone too far. The truth, as always, remains complicated. In the end, the controversies surrounding Sam Hyde became a story unto themselves, a meta-commentary on the power of memes, the pitfalls of misinformation, and the blurred identities that thrive in the digital age. Whether viewed as a provocateur, a scapegoat, or a misunderstood artist, Sam Hyde's presence looms large, challenging audiences to question not just comedy, but the very nature of truth on the internet. While controversy and media myths swirl around Sam Hyde and Million Dollar Extreme, there's another story quietly unfolding, one written not by the creators themselves, but by the dedicated fan community that refuses to let the legacy fade. Long after the original episodes of World Peace aired, passionate fans took it upon themselves to archive, remix, and celebrate every scrap of MDE content they could find. Lost sketches resurfaced on obscure forums, while entire episodes were meticulously preserved and shared through underground channels, outpacing even the most determined copyright takedowns. But the community's devotion went far beyond preservation. Across YouTube, Reddit and Discord, fan-driven projects blossomed. Animated adaptations of classic MDE bits, elaborate tribute videos, and even original comedy inspired by the group's irreverent style began to circulate. Some fans crafted intricate memes and deep-dive video essays, dissecting the layers of satire and social commentary embedded in MDE's work. Others organized grassroots events, secret screenings, themed podcasts and collaborative art projects, turning admiration into active participation. This ecosystem of creativity transformed the fan base into a movement. For many, supporting MDE became about more than nostalgia. It was a way to challenge mainstream comedy and champion alternative voices. The collective effort to keep MDE's spirit alive fostered a sense of belonging, a digital underground where in-jokes and references became a shared language. Notable fan initiatives like the annual World Peace Day live streams, collaborative zines and community-run archives have ensured that MDE's influence remains not just preserved but ever evolving. The fans, in essence, became the new stewards of the legacy, shaping how the group is remembered and inspiring a new generation of internet comedians to push boundaries in their own ways. In a world where online content can vanish overnight, the MDE fandom stands as a testament to the enduring power of community. Their relentless creativity and passion have transformed Million Dollar Extreme from a controversial footnote into a living, breathing phenomenon, one that continues to echo across the digital landscape, long after the cameras stopped rolling.